Hello, kindred spirits. Welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and today we are going to be doing a week-by-week breakdown for you for the next 2 weeks to look into the energy, insights, and guidance on its way in for you. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so welcome back, my beautiful kindred spirits, and anyone new who may be joining us here today. We are going to be looking into your next 2 weeks, as I mentioned, but we're also going to be doing that with the charms and letter tiles. If you're interested in charm casting even further, I have a whole video all about charm casting, a master guide of everything that I've learned over the years of charm casting. So if that interests you, do feel free to check that out. Also, before we look at the piles here, I just want to mention that I currently have all of my offerings for private readings and for any other offerings that I provide with bell and ritual papers and pride earrings. All of those are currently closed, but will be back up mid-June. So if you want to stay updated on that, do feel free to check out my Instagram down below, as well as my link tree. You can also check out the Kindred tip jar in the meantime. Everything that goes in there goes straight back into the channel and is a great way to continue to support this space. But with that all said, let's go ahead and look at the piles here. So for the piles that we have here today, I pulled a different affirmation from my watercolor affirmations for you. So here for pile number 1, we have the affirmation of I am blanketed in deep abundance with this silver background. So that is pile number 1. For pile number 2 here, we have trust your intuition, and it has more of a kind of glow or haze of purple as its background. So that's pile number 2. And here for pile number 3, we have find the way to rekindle that fire inside you with a very prominent color of orange and yellow. So that is pile number 3. So before you start heading off to the timestamps, I like to invite you to take a deep cleansing and centering breath so you can really connect with your intuition. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath together here now. And as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your piles here. You can choose all 3 of the piles if you feel open to that, or you can just choose one, change your mind, flip-flop as you feel is necessary. All of the timestamps will be down below in the description alongside the chapter marks of this video. And if you're interested in checking out any more of the things that I get up to beyond YouTube, I also have my Instagram down below where I talk about my queer journey and other fun magical and spell related things. So do feel free to check that out down below, or feel free to say hello there as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started here with pile number 1. Hello, group 1. If you've decided to choose I am blanketed in deep abundance, then this is the pile for you for the next 2 weeks. We are going to be using our typical charm format where we're going to look into each week individually, as well as a main energy and some numbers and letter charms to get us started. But do feel free to get cozy, get comfortable, get a nice drink of water or whatever you need to get yourself ready and more in that intuitive state. But let's begin first with your letter tiles. So for these, we are going to be pulling any oracle messages that come through from them, anything we can spell out and play around with and investigate. But we're also going to be seeing if there are any names or specific initials that come forward for you. So do feel free to put your own intuition into this and see what comes through. So feel free to send your energy in through time and space. And let's see, group 1. I don't know why, but I kind of got like the idea of Teletubby just by the letters that fell out. There's just so many T's and E's. So there could just be this humorous sort of playful energy that's coming in, maybe an abundance of humor, an abundance of play, or something like that, or just time to like watch your favorite TV show. Maybe you're hanging around a lot of like kids or young children over the next 2 weeks. But we have T-E-T-E-T-T-E, and then we also have L, A, and N. So basically just a ton. I mean, if you guys were looking for initials, we have a ton of T's and E's for sure. Like so many, they just keep writing over themselves themselves. But what am I seeing here? Honestly, I don't really know what we could write other than like lean or like tea. We could write tea, so something to kind of calm you down. Lean being more about like leaning, taking some time off. Again, we have like this humorous sort of funny kind of playful energy that came through immediately, but do feel free to take a moment and look at these yourself and see what's coming through, especially since we have such interesting letters here. And I was just thinking too, there's such an abundance, literally an abundance of T's and E's. So see how that resonates for you. But we're gonna move on to your numbers. So this is similar to the letters. This is going to give you like specific dates that are going to be really important to mark off on your calendar or to look at, to keep an eye on, or you can use these as angel numbers or spirit guide numbers, signs and signals, however you wish. But let's see, group 1. Okay, we've got a lot of numbers. Like I said, you definitely have an abundance of things coming through. So let's see if we get any repeats. So we have 11, 9, 5, 5, and 1, 7, and 13. So we have kind of two different 5s coming through here. We have sort of an 11, 11 or 1, 1, 1 kind of message here. I'm feeling kind of called to group these by color. So we have 7, 11, and 13 as a color. If you were feeling the color orange, we have the number 15 showing up here, or 51, with the number with the color red, and black here with 95, with 9 and 5. So you might be feeling all of these numbers. Like I said, feel free to mix them up and see what comes through for you. But you might be feeling just one group of them, and those might be dates to really keep an eye on, or specific times as well. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and pull you your main card for the next 2 weeks. So this is going to be the card that represents the message you most need to hear, or the message that is coming forward for you for these next 2 weeks. And we're going to build off of that with your later charms within this reading. So let's see, the next 2 weeks, the main energy, the main focus, the main message. Group 1. What do we got coming in for you? Okay, so we have Grandmother Desert Exposure. And it says here, no way to avoid the journey before you now. Exposed, burn off doubt. And then we also have the number 58 here. So again, we have 555 showing up here. So there's a lot of 5s, 5s being a number of change, a number of something needing to change. So over these next 2 weeks, you might find that there is something that you need to expose yourself to, or to kind of, instead of sort of hide or hold back from, especially with creative blocks, with internal sort of struggles that you might be going through around either a physical journey that you're taking, or an emotional or spiritual journey, but there's something that you can't avoid any longer. There's something that needs to come forward. We can't live in the mirage that is within the desert any longer. And so the heat and the exposure is a lot, right? Sometimes we have to be put on the spot, or maybe you're going to be presenting something where you have to kind of like public speak. Something's coming forward where it feels like you have to be kind of shown in the spotlight, and you have to kind of show your true colors, or show your full journey, or really expose yourself to something that you have been hiding or holding back from for these next 2 weeks. That's definitely coming through here. Because you could stay in this desert, but you'll be, it's hot. It's not the most productive place to be able to continue to grow and survive. So I'm definitely seeing that coming through for you for these next 2 weeks. But let's go ahead and go week by week and see what comes in for you there. So now we are going to actually go week by week here. using the charms and the tarot charms with the Charmcast Tarot. And how this mat works, if you're new to this is more on that exposure energy, anything that falls here, as well as just main energies, really main focuses for you. This little noodle shape is week 1, and this noodle shape is week 2, and anything that falls on the moons or outside of the mat we'll talk about individually. But let's go ahead and pull you some tarot tiles first. So we start out with the tarot, and then we'll pull the oracle messages with the charms afterwards. So do feel free to send your energy into the abyss in here, and we will see what comes back. So the next 2 weeks, group 1. Okay, so most of them have fallen, and I'll zoom you in here in a moment, but most of them have fallen actually upside down, so we'll look at each of them individually as we go. But the one that has come up and surfaced itself and exposed itself here is the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands is all about celebration, kind of continuing on your path, but feeling, like you have someone behind you, you have support behind you to keep you going. It makes me think of like a parade of some sort or a victory march. So we're going to see what that victory is, especially with the other charms that you got here. But let's go ahead and pull you the extra details. So do feel free to send your energy in through time and space. And let's see here, group 1, the next 2 weeks. Trying to hop all over the place, but let's just see the ones that fell on the outside here, and if they wish to be a part of the messages. So yeah, let's go ahead and zoom you in. So we're going to start here with the center, right? So we're going to look right here in the center and see what else we have showing up here. So as we already spoke about, we have that Six of Wands showing up here, that victory march, that continuation forward that we were talking about before. But we also have the get back on the saddle charms. This makes me think obviously of a horse saddle or some sort of saddle, and especially since we have you actually riding a horse, it feels like you're getting back on the saddle towards something that you've been wanting to be victorious in. Maybe it means you have to kind of put yourself again at it makes me think of like a parade march or something, right? Where you have to be kind of exposed, you have to be the center of attention, you have to public speak, or you have to, bring to light something or put the spotlight on yourself. So we definitely have that showing up here a couple of different times. We also have the feather. The feather's also falling into group 1, the first week of your next 2 weeks. And the feather usually represents like sort of the air element and communication. So more public speaking coming through here, or needing to speak your truth or say something that you need to get off your chest, or something you've been avoiding, a difficult conversation possibly that needs to come up with people who support you. But it doesn't mean that's not a hard thing to sometimes bring something up, especially if it feels uncomfortable and very exposing to do. We also have this coming in as like signs and signals from spirit too. So you might be seeing signs that come in from this with that 555 message or anything else. But let's see and reveal what else we have here. So we also have the Three of Wands. We're definitely getting some wand energy. The Three of Wands is a lot about moving forward, and it's about connecting with other people. It actually makes me think of all the wands just here behind you in this card, right? So you have all these wands, these supporters, these people who are marching beside you or cheering you on in some way, and it almost kind of feels like those people here. You can also see in this card, it's very small on this one, but there's these tiny little boats in the background, which also represent people that you might be communicating to, if you think of this as like shipments or like trading sales ships kind of thing, or a trade route, right? So it's like trading information as well. So you might find that by opening up these conversations or opening yourself up and exposing yourself, you might actually find that a lot other people are going through a similar situation or have similar things that they also wish to speak about that maybe you didn't know before, right? Trading information. So something might be revealed when it comes to that. Let's go ahead and move on to your first week. So I'll go ahead and move you out here so you can see that first week. There's nothing missing down here that you're not seeing. So I'll keep it pretty zoomed in for you. But this the only thing that came upright on this entire first week is the friendly charm of the Aquarius symbol. So it might be an Aquarius that you'll be speaking to, someone who is very much your ally, a friend, or someone you might be reconnecting to that might be an Aquarius in their sun, moon, or rising sign, or maybe they just have, again, a lot of air element energy in their chart, as that is an air element. We also have a couple of different things. So let's go ahead and reveal them here. So we have the 8 of Swords, which is, it definitely makes sense. Like when we're having to put ourselves in an exposing situation, we have these racing thoughts that really try to hold us back and hold us back from blooming. I did a recent video all about where you might be blooming, so that might be a video you might want to check out after this one, but especially since you got like the really big bloom here. But I definitely am getting this feeling that like it's not an easy thing to talk about, whatever you're wanting to talk about, because the swords represent communication. They represent our thoughts and more of that air element. So you definitely have something that you've been kind of holding in. It makes me think of like if you think of trying to trap air or trap our thoughts or hold our thoughts back, they usually just end up growing and growing and growing and getting bigger. It's when we let just like our emotions move through us, if we let these thoughts move through us and out our mouths and kind of put ourselves out there a little bit, or even just journal them, write them down, have that sort of cathartic moment, that can be really useful and help you on your path this first week. We also have another card here with the 7 of Cups, which I find really interesting, especially since it fell not only the other way around reversed, but also literally upside down here, but I'll turn it around for you. But the 7 of Cups here is a lot to do with having too many choices. And I feel like for you, if anything, you feel like you only have one choice, and that is more limiting and more exposing for you because you can't, move around or choose another direction. You're feeling kind of like caught, literally tied back and caught in this space. So this first week is going to be a lot about kind of building up your confidence to be able to have these conversations or to move through this exposing situation that you might be moving through. But that's more of the mindset of the first week, is starting to open up that flower, open up that bloom, open yourself up to being able to take on this exposing situation and to find maybe more choices and maybe more options for you than the one that you feel kind of stuck against or held back from. That being said, we also have a whole bunch over here on the other side, but before we look at the second week, I want to talk about this little lotus that we actually have showing up here on the last quarter moon. So the last quarter moon represents things to release, to let go of, and to literally unfurl, and to have the lotus charm showing up here, which lotuses, as many people know, grow all the way from the sticky mud of the bottom of that floor of water in ponds and rivers and other places, right? And so they have to grow all the way back up just to get their blooms, and they grow out of the sticky, icky water. So the point is that you might be feeling in the sticky, icky water this first week, but you can definitely see there is this blooming situation where you're starting to come up and expose yourself out into the water, and to be able to receive more sunshine, and it actually being a very healing situation. The lotus represents a healing situation. It also represents an ending of cycles and a lot of personal inner growth, especially around that last quarter moon, which you can look in a moon at, but I do believe that will be within the first week after this video is posted. But here on the second week, we have a few other things happening. So the one that we are revealing, we have the Four of Pentacles. So another situation of kind of holding yourself back, withholding information. This time it's a little bit less about thoughts and feelings and like communication of some sort, but more so like holding yourself back from physically going outside or physically going for walks or moving your body in some way. It also can be like trying to hold back on spending a lot within this second week, especially since we have this flip-flop charm, which can represent you kind of flipping and flopping or wanting to change the situation with the leaf, the maple leaf here. But it definitely feels like a sticky situation financially, possibly, or within your body that you're trying to work through in this second week. But we also have a couple of other things happening that feel kind of different. So we have the charm that represents kind of like, because I don't really know what this language is or how to speak it. So the whole point is like something lost in translation. There could be a lot of miscommunication in the second week. So where you are communicating more, there still could be things that still need to be exposed even past these next 2 weeks. But underneath it, we have the bull-headed charm. So again, you could be very stubborn about what you're trying to withhold and what information you're trying to withhold. And, just something to keep in mind. But we do have a couple of charms showcasing a change in that. We do have the react charm talking about kind of getting some of those sticky thoughts and feelings out of your head and being more worried about the reaction than it is about the actual act that you'd be doing. But we do have the key, and whenever we see a key show up, it represents being able to unlock something. And because we have this bull, it could be also that a Taurus or an Aquarius or an Aries signed person might be coming through to help kind of unlock this, or someone at least that could be more on the divine side, someone who's in your spirit guides as well, as we had that coming up here a couple times too. So overall, when we look at this entirely, I really feel like over the next 2 weeks, the biggest things for you is moving through the ideas of exposure, moving through what it is that you're maybe needing to expose yourself to, as in exposing your heart, exposing your thoughts, letting some of the conversations that maybe you need to have come to light, and then also realizing that there might be some people who you were worried about their reactions and actually are probably going through something similar. And if not similar, then they also are going through some sort of struggle that they can relate to you with. And that could be a really good bonding situation. So overall, that's everything that I'm really seeing here very significantly for your next 2 weeks. But if you did enjoy this reading, do be sure to give this video a like, as well as let me know in the comments down below what you thought. I'm always curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Do be sure also to subscribe if you haven't already, as I put out new videos every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, and so much more. And here soon, I will have my offerings opening back up again. So if you're interested in a snail mail reading, in rainbow crochet earrings for Pride, or for any other kinds of offerings that I might have, do be sure to check that all out down below for my Linktree and for my Instagram. You're also welcome to check out the Kindred tip jar. So I do believe that is everything I wish to say here today. I am wishing you the best for your next 2 weeks, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello, group 2. If you've decided to choose this specific affirmation with trust your intuition, then this is the pile for you. We're going to see how that correlates to everything that we get here, as we are going to be playing around with a typical format that I've been doing recently, where we actually pull charms for both week 1 and week 2 for your next 2 weeks, as well as letter tiles and numbers to investigate even further. So we're actually going to begin with those letter tiles. But do feel free to get yourself settled, get yourself cozy, get whatever you need, a nice cup of water or some tea. My voice has been going in and out kind of weird today, so if I have some weird voice things, do feel free to ignore those. But yeah, anyway, feel free to send your energy in through time and space, and let's just get right into it. The next 2 weeks for you, group 2, with Trust Your Intuition. So you might find that these represent different names or initials for you to kind of have as markers or significators. The ones that we have coming up right away, though, are R, E, and B, alongside M, E, and I. Because we got both I and the letters for me, it really makes me feel like this is definitely something that is more of a solo mission kind of next 2 weeks. You're going to be more hermited. We're going to see with the rest of your things that you get here. But it definitely feels like it's very much about you for these next 2 weeks, or there's something that we're celebrating about you, or you're going to be more interested in things like self-care over the next 2 weeks. I also know this doesn't say red, but I keep getting kind of red or reb, coming through obviously, but it's making me think of red. So if we do the numbers and you get a lot of reds, I'm going to be looking for those. But you don't have a lot to play around with here, so do feel free to see what comes through for you if you get any oracle messages or anything specific that comes through. But that's really what I'm getting here just from those few. But let's go ahead and move on to your numbers. So these, just like the letters, are going to look for some significant dates, or we're going to see if there are any angel numbers or spiritual numbers that come through for you. So do feel free to send your energy in through time and space, and let's see group 2. Okay, so you have the number 6, 10, 4, and 13. So none of them came out as red. The closest that we have is orange with the number 10. So the 14th, the 13th, and the 16th might be really important. That, or the 6th, the 4th, and the 3rd. You might be feeling really called to a specific, collection of numbers based off color. So see what comes through with your own intuition here, or if there are any signals, especially since you chose the one about trusting your intuition. If you feel really called to that, see what comes through. But let's go ahead and see your main energy for the next 2 weeks. So we're doing this one a little bit differently. We're actually going to do it with an oracle card here today, with the Song of the Grandmothers. You know I love this deck. But we're going to see what's coming through for you for the next 2 weeks, or something to just kind of think about as a theme. But do feel free to send your energy in through time and space, especially since this one's going to be more specific. But let's see, group 2. Oh my goodness, that one flew out immediately. Okay, so we have Grandmother Sunflower. I feel like this has been coming out, like the idea of sunflowers, a lot in my readings lately. So if that's you, then this might be your pile again. But we have here Grandmother Sunflower, Nourishment. And it says, turn to what you love, whatever feels like sunshine. Let it nourish you. With the number 10 down here. So we have a repeat of the number 10 again. As I said, it was closest to that red. So 10 could be really important. The 10th, maybe check what you have going on there, if there's something more nourishing. And the fact that we talked about this being a month more about, or not month, but the next 2 weeks rather, about self-care, self-love, and really, taking and putting yourself first. Maybe you're going to have like a spa day on the 10th, or there's something really important about the 10th for you. Or maybe it's just kind of giving you like, hey, maybe we should trust that this is, or really look for the signs that are coming in on the 10th. There could be really intuitive signs and signals from spirit around self-care and things like that. So see what's coming through. I do love that this comes through in general, because sunflowers are beautiful flowers, and the fact that they love to obviously turn towards the sun. They turn towards optimism, positivity, or towards a more healing, nourishing place. They're always following the sun. They're always looking and orienting themselves that way. Or if it is a very, shaded day, very cloudy, and they can't really find where the sun is or locate it, sunflowers will actually turn towards each other, which I think is so cute. They'll turn towards each other and find nourishment that way through each other, and radiate, nourishment that way. So I want to see if you have other people coming in, or maybe this is more about, just trusting in yourself and the nourishment that you can provide for yourself. Maybe a personal healing journey is something that you're already kind of into, or maybe it's something more like a single day on the 10th for a little spa day. But we're going to see a little bit more specifically over these next 2 weeks for you, and we're going to look into what you have coming in for your next 2 weeks with the charms and the specific tarot charms with the Charmcast Tarot. And the way that we are going to be doing this is we're going to use this charm mat. The ones that fall here in the center are more about that nourishment or other really big themes for the next 2 weeks for you. And then this noodle shape is the first week, and anything that falls on this noodle shape will be the next 2 or the second week. Anything that falls on the outside with the moons we'll talk about individually. So let's go ahead and start first with the tarot tiles. So feel free to send your energy in as always, and we'll see what you get here. So the next 2 weeks here, group 2. Okay, so we only had 2 fall upright over here on the first week, but we'll look a little bit further as we go on the other ones here. But let's go ahead and get you some of your letter tiles. But the ones that did fall upright, just so you know, are the 9 of Wands and the Lovers card here. But let's go ahead and get some extra information. So here we go, group 2, the next 2 weeks. Okay, so let's zoom you in so you can see. We're going to start first here in the center. So here in the center, what do you have? So we have the spoon, the dime, which makes me feel like, what is the saying, like on a dime or something like that is coming through for you guys, like the idea of like things happening on a dime or something flipping on a dime, very quick movements and quick changes. Again, that might happen with the 10th. Other things that are coming through too with that is, like it says here, turn to what you love. So you might have something that you're turning and shifting towards, bringing more love to yourself, shifting on a dime there. Dimes also represent obviously 10. So we have 10 showing up here again. Lots of 10 representing completion or completing something or finishing, tying something off. We also have the spoon charm here, so if any of you are spoonies, that might be something to keep in mind around the 10th as well, or maybe that's why you need some nourishment, some time off, or some time to recover. And then the one that we will reveal here, we have the Hierophant. Okay, so the Hierophant's an interesting one. The Hierophant talks about our beliefs and our morals and our values and the things that we really care about. It can also represent systems and society and overarching sort of systems that we follow, like systems of belief. So those sorts of things might also be that there could be personal beliefs that I feel like are very personal to you, like not societal beliefs or something bigger. I'm honestly getting that like you're going to be changing your mind about self-care over these next 2 weeks. There's going to be maybe this aha moment or something that clicks, right? Because you're completing a cycle, you're completing something there. So I feel like when you hit that completion moment, it's going to be like, aha, I finally figured it out, or I finally found a rhythm, or I got something going there. So I feel like you're going to be changing your own beliefs and values around self-care and self-love. And self-care doesn't have to mean like just spa days and bubble baths. Sometimes self-care is getting that email done that you needed to get done. So it can just be off your brain. It can be brain dump lists. It can be grounding or going outside and getting some sunshine, literal nourishment from the sun, some vitamin D. It can be working your body, or it can be resting your body. It could be many different things. So it could be just that you're changing a belief there that you've been maybe following for a while and shifting that on a dime. Other things that you have coming in here, let's look at the first little noodle shape that we have here. So if we look at this, we have a few different things. Let's start here at the top. So the first thing that we had show up here was the 9 of Wands. And the 9 of Wands kind of represents creating sacred space for yourself. That's what I really just heard right now, is the idea of like creating sacred space, creating and it represents a lot to do with boundaries and people needing to respect your boundaries, boundaries around self-love and self-care, but also, and nourishment, but also about like making sure people are not trying to cross that boundary. And it feels like there is a lot of respect coming in here. I'm not really seeing a lot where people are crossing over that, because we do have the cycles more in that 10 energy. We have the Libra energy, which represents, a very nice balance. And then we have the solid heart, which usually represents people in your life or things that you love, or even yourself, where you're finding a little bit more of a solid kind of relationship with yourself or with others that feels really solid, strong, and grounded. So that might be with someone who is a Libra, someone who you want to have sacred space with over the next first week. But mostly I'm just seeing that you're giving yourself time, you're putting your foot down and telling, hey, I need some space, or I need to recover, or whatever it might be, to possibly a Libra in their sun, moon, or rising sign. Speaking on more signs, we also have the Pisces charm showing up here near the moon, so we might talk about it there, but mostly I was feeling it here with the Lovers card. So again, lots about self-love. The Lovers card is a card about choice. Love is obviously something that we can fall in love with someone without choice, but it's our choice to continue to love someone, continue to put love in something, in projects, in self-care, in nourishment for our bodies, right? And so there could be just someone that you're spreading a little bit of love or kindness or nourishment towards, that might be a Pisces in their sun, moon, or rising sign. Otherwise, that love just is very intuitive for you. Maybe it's just like, again, all of a sudden on the 10th, you're like, I just need this. This is intuitively what feels right to me, and I'm going to do that because it's an act of love, an act of radical, sacred love for myself or for others. So definitely a lot about love and boundaries and self-care in this first week. I'm not feeling too much specifically from this one, but here in your second week, we have a couple of other things going on here. We have the toy plane, we have the wing of, this kind of almost feels like a phoenix wing to me today, but it can also be an angel wing or guided wing. And then we have the patterns charm. So let's see what's showing up down here first. So we have the tower. And so the tower represents really big, sudden changes, usually changes that are outside of our control. They usually represent, someone called in sick, or, you got sick, or traffic made your car break down, or, whatever it might be, something that just like gets in your way, kind of ruins your Tuesday or ruins your Monday, and you just have to kind of move through it. But we have the patterns charm showing up here next to it, which makes me think that you're kind of going through maybe a pattern of kind of a rut or bad luck in that area, and maybe that's why you need to nourish yourself or need a little bit of recovery time, especially in the second week. So that's something to keep in mind. Maybe just like double check some things before leaving in the second week if you want to like get around this, or especially since you have a penny showing up here as well, possibly making sure to, check that you have your keys in your pocket, or check on those small little bad luck things to try to avoid them. You also have here the oh my goodness, this is such a good one too, on such a nourishing pile, because here is the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups, as beautiful and as loving and as nurturing and as intuitive as she is, or as they are, they tend to not give that love back to themselves, right? This is the kind of person who pours and pours and pours their heart out towards other people, even if they don't pour their heart out back. So this is like kind of, again, with that boundaries idea, that there might be a lot of energy that you're expelling in the second week towards other people, but you're not actually giving any of that back, or they aren't giving you anything back, right? It's kind of transactional, or sort of a one-sided deal here. So definitely look after yourself and make sure that you might have to kind of have that aha moment again about other people in your life who are maybe taking more than they're giving back. Other things we have here, we have the toy plane, which represents humor and playfulness, represents play and Also sometimes short little jaunts or travel. And then we have, like I said, that spirit guide charm with the wing. So I felt like this feeling of a phoenix wing rising from the ashes, especially since you have kind of a lot of rut of bad luck. So it feels like by the second part of that week, in the second week, you're going to maybe have that kind of start to kind of disintegrate. So that's good to hear. Other things that we have here on the moon side of it, we have nothing down here, but we do have we did just come out of a full moon. This is kind of where the moon is as of when I am posting this, but the parrot charm comes just after that. So like here in the first week, you're probably going to start to feel this feeling of the parrot. And the parrot talks a lot to kind of parroting what other people say, right? You're not really having your own say or saying what your real needs are. So again, you're kind of breaking through that cycle. You're kind of putting your foot down a little bit more. And I can definitely see that coming through since this parrot charm came in. But it is something that you still might find yourself seeping back into, people pleasing or not allowing your own boundaries to be heard and just sort of saying what everyone wants you to say. So that might be something to be aware of. And then also over here, way at the end of the 2 weeks, based off the moons here, we have the I love you charm, and it also says here the DeSoto Caverns, and it is like one of those little travel pennies. So again, little traveling jaunts, or maybe you might be getting ready for travels or something. But this also speaks to spirit guides and angels, and it also speaks to ancestors and loved ones beyond the veil. So there might be some messages that are coming through, especially in the second week, in the second half of the second week, so like towards the weekend, that you might want to keep an eye out for. Overall, that is everything that I'm really getting here for your next 2 weeks. I'll go ahead and move this so you can see it here again. But I do hope you found this reading useful, and if you did, do be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below as well what you thought of it and maybe things that you found as you intuitively moved through this with that intuitive message. Also, do be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, as I put out educational videos on charm casting, and I also do other videos every single Monday for these pick a card readings. If you'd also like to look at any of my offerings, I'll be opening up my offerings at the middle of this month, so very soon. So if you're interested in a private reading through snail mail or digital readings, or if you're interested in some rainbow pride earrings for your specific pride flag, or for some support for a queer person in your life, then do feel free to check all that out down below alongside the Kindred tip jar. And I do believe that is everything. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I do hope you get your spa day. Let me know what that 10 was about, if you were really feeling that one. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello, Group 3. If you decide to choose this specific affirmation with find the way to rekindle that fire inside you, then this is the pile for you. We are going to be doing our typical format where we're going to look into both of your first week and your second week and main energies coming through for you. And we're going to be doing that with the charms, different letter tiles, number tiles, and through the charms that I have for tarot tiles, all of which will be listed down below if you're interested in any of those or into charm casting at all. I have master guide videos on that, or to look into my specific charms here. But I do want to mention that my voice is going in and out right now, so if I seem quiet or have like a gravelly voice, then I do hope you forgive that, because we are going to go ahead and just start getting right into it. We're going to look into if there's any more on this specific message, but we're going to start first with your letter tiles. So these can represent names or people or oracle messages coming through. You can also see specific initials that are important for you, but do feel free to send your energy in through time and space. Feel free to get cozy, get some water, get some tea, a nice blanket, whatever you'd like. But let's see here, Group 3, the next 2 weeks. So the first letters that we have here are T, R, and O. So this made me think of like a tortoise, or it makes me think of like torquing something, like where you're like torque, so some sort of like pressure that might be happening there. Also, because we have that fiery energy, I'm also getting this feeling of torch, but we're going to see what else is coming through. We also have H, W, X, and N. So very close to being able to write torch, almost like you're finding that missing piece, that missing letter is coming in here. So there might be a piece that we're missing. I'm going to see if any puzzle pieces come in with the charms here later. But we also have, like I said, some other letters coming in. We also have 1 showing up here. So this could also represent some sort of success over the next 2 weeks. Maybe a success in kind of rekindling that flame or finding what you're looking for, the missing piece. The X marks the spot. We also have Ron, in case that's like a specific name showing up here, as well as ton, like there might be a lot of things happening over the next 2 weeks for you in terms of like tasks. But we're going to see what else there is showing up here. So do feel free to take your time and really look through these on your own. We also have like Texas showing up here too. And sort of north. I just realized we can totally write entirely north here. So there could be that some of you are also maybe traveling up north. So that's showing up here too. Maybe even northwest marks the spot. I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts down below on this, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it there because I find that really interesting. North and then northwest marks the spot. But let's go ahead and see your numbers now. So we're going to be using these very similarly, but this time we're going to be seeing, instead of initials or names, we're going to see any dates that might be really important. And we're also going to be seeing if there's any specific repeating numbers or angel numbers, spirit numbers that might be coming through. So do feel free, as always, to send your energy in, and let's see group 3 the next 2 weeks. Okay, so they all fell upright. We have sort of a grouping of 8s here. So we have 2 different 8s. 8s having a lot to do with abundance and a lot to do with cycles, right? In the idea of like a figure 8. We also have 4 and 12 here. So you might even be called to this 8 and this 12 with the colors, and the 4 possibly for this orange that we have with the finding that way to rekindle that fire inside you, maybe helping you with that missing piece. So possibly the 8th, the 4th, or the 12th of the month being really important for you, maybe having to do with this missing piece. But those are the numbers that we have showing up here, as well as the letters. But let's start moving deeper into these next 2 weeks to look into specifically with this oracle deck, the Song of the Grandmother's Oracle. We're going to look into what is coming through most heavily, or a big theme or message coming through for you over these next 2 weeks. So do feel free to send your energy, and let's see group 3. This has been happening a lot today. Ooh, you got the blank card. Ooh, that just gave me chills. This deck comes with 6 blank cards that you can kind of create your own as you go and add your own in. But I decided to leave one in that was just blank entirely, so that if we wanted to just fully intuitively look into this, we could almost scry at it or look and see what's coming through. But I find that so interesting, especially since we had that missing piece. We had that X marks the spot, something buried, missing, or lost. So you might just feel like some ambition is kind of lost these next 2 weeks, especially with the 4. The 4 represents safety, keeping things sort of safe, contained, kept in place. So I really do feel like because you got the blank card, it makes me feel like you have a blank slate, but it's, you know what it's making me think of? Like when you have when you get like a new notebook or a new fancy notebook and you never write in it, it just sits on your shelf, you admire it, you pick it up once in a while, and then you never write anything in it because the idea of messing up the page, of putting your ambitions or writing something wrong or, having to cross something out is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure coming from this. Like I really feel like that is coming through. There could be a lot of pressure about something in terms of like travel, or it could just be a lot of pressure in general because you might be trying to find some ambition. You might be going through a bit of a funk or feeling like you have sort of this perfectionism that's kind of holding you back. So we're going to see what way that kind of swings as we go forward, but I really did get chills. This hasn't popped out yet. I was always curious if it would in any of the readings that I do, but for specifically this one with the missing information already, that's really crazy. So let's go ahead and move into the rest of your reading. We're going to look into the actual charms on the charm mat now. And so the way that I use the charm mat, if you're new, we are going to look more in depth on this specific missing message here with the blank card and anything else that's more of a main theme or message. Then this little noodle shape is week 1, and this noodle shape, anything that falls on it, is week 2. And then anything on the moons we will talk about individually. But dang, that's so crazy. Let's just start looking into these. So we have the tarot tiles here from the Charmcast Tarot, and do feel free to send your energy in through time and space into the dark abyss here and see what we pull out back. So let's see, the next 2 weeks, group 3. Okay, so far, nothing also falling in the main energy. I'm going to see this one again because it kind of fell. Yeah, okay, so it's definitely in the first week. So we're going to look a little bit further, obviously, with the charms, but the things that fell upright already for you is a reversed 8 of Wands and the Justice card here. But let's go ahead and pull you those charms to get those other details, because this is going to give us a little bit more to work off of. So let's see, group 3 next week. So we didn't get anything here in the center, which is, typical, right? We're looking into this and we're getting these blank slates. We're definitely going to get a blank slate here as well, right? So we also had the number 10 fall in my lap, so I'm going to drop that one and see. And then just because we got that X, I went ahead and pulled this one out specifically, and I'm going to go ahead and drop it and see where it lands. So here we go, group 3. Okay, so it fell off of the whole thing here. So this is really telling me that these next 2 weeks you're probably not going to find what you're looking for. That isn't to say that it isn't on its way, or that you won't eventually find that fire inside you or find that answer that you're looking for, but it might not happen in these next 2 weeks. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, because this actually has one stuck in it, I just realized that. It also could be telling us that it's going to unravel itself, because whenever I see this one, it makes me think of like a ball of yarn. So it's going to unravel itself slowly. So you have to maybe be a bit more patient over these next 2 weeks as well. If you're waiting for an answer, if you're waiting for an email, if you're waiting for that travel situation, whatever it is that needs to be resolved, especially since we had the number 10 showing up probably the closest here. Whatever needs to be resolved is going to happen and happen quite slowly. So it's more of a slow burn situation. So usually I'd zoom in here and show you this center section, but because we got nothing here and we already talked about that blank card, let's go ahead and move on to week 1 rather. So we already have that completion kind of feeling, like I said, where we're going to have to slowly unravel, but let's see what else we have. Another 8. So we have 8, 8, and 8 showing up here. A lot about cycles, taking its time, a figure 8, moving through it. 8's having a lot to do with abundance. So again, you might have an abundance of ideas or an abundance of answers, but none of them fully fitting or clicking properly. Or just having abundance of tasks, right? A ton of tasks like we saw earlier. Especially because you also have the 8 of Wands. So you have a lot of 8s showing up here. So if you guys were looking for the number 8 or the 8th in these next 2 weeks, the 8th is probably really important for you, or even the 18th. But let's look a little bit further. So you have here also, oh my gosh, you have the 8 of Pentacles as well. There are so many 8s showing up. That's so many synchronicities here. So just because of that, I wanted to pull out my Meraki tarot workbook, I knew that they had a whole page on numerology, and I wanted to see what it said specifically on the number 8. I felt called to look at this. So it says the number 8, progress, ruled by Saturn. 8 moves us forward. It's the cycle of completion, the journey, and accomplishments. So again, I'm really getting that feeling that you're kind of like, it's not going to resolve itself this week, right? With that 10 showing up here as well, with completion being 10, but you're definitely on the journey, you're on your way. And it definitely feels like you're kind of maybe getting frustrated in the first week because the 8 of Wands is reversed, and the 8 of Wands represents momentum, moving forward, quick movement. So if you think of that as reversed, it's the opposite. Stagnation, slowing down, or having to take your time. And because you also had the upright version of the 8 of Pentacles, which is all about hard work, focus, and repetition, it's also making me think that you're just going to have to kind of move through that frustration and know that it's going to resolve itself as we move through this these next 2 weeks. But you also have the letters J and A here in case those resonate for you, or A and J. So if you are trying to figure out some missing letters that you had over here, definitely feel free to add J or A to that. And then you also have the Justice card alongside this little clump that still feels connected more so to this first week. But we have the Justice card, and Justice represents balance. It represents sort of consequences to our actions. It represents a very objective point of view. And then you have the Trim charm. So this is like part of like a fingernail trimmer or like clipper. And then you have the Responsibilities sort of charm with the ring here. This can represent marriages. This can represent promises. They also can represent like legal matters, right? Legal bindings, things that are very much like written in stone, written in contract, or have been very much promised to. And then because it's coming up here next to something like Justice, which is about legal matters and the idea of trimming, I really feel like you might have something that needs resolved there, and maybe that's what you're traveling for, or maybe you're on jury duty, or maybe you're having to confront someone about something that maybe they haven't held up their end of some sort of responsibility or promise to you, because we also have the Jealous heart. So that might be something as well to keep in mind here, that there might be something that comes to light over here on this little cluster of charms in that first week around J and A as well, possibly for a name or an initial around that situation. But let's move on to what we have showing up here in the second week. We have a slightly less amount of charms, but let's go ahead and see first what is to be revealed here. So we have the reversed version, although I turned it up right for you, the reversed version of the Death card. The Death card representing, obviously, the idea of grief. It can represent letting go or putting something to rest. But this also can represent when it's the other way around, sort of like letting go in a very empowering way, or letting something go because it's like a release of like a relief feeling, like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so ready to be done with that, and I'm finally done. So there's a lot of relief coming in here with the second week. So you might be completing a project that you've been working really hard on that maybe has been kind of stagnant. Again, something could come to light that maybe you've been quite insecure about for a while. We also have the number 6 showing up here as well, 6 representing balance, something balancing back out. So even though we didn't get the X marks the spot showing up here, maybe there's multiple things that you're trying to figure out over these next 2 weeks. And I do see that there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel here when it comes to the second week here. And then interestingly enough, you also got the Lion King charm of sort of strength and the lion. So this, I think, is funny because the strength card in tarot is also the number 8. So with balance, courage, or courageous, and compassionate with strength. So I find that so interesting. You have so many 8s. Do let me know if you guys have been seeing 8s all the time, or if that's something that has started to come up for you. I'd be so interested. But because you had that strength card showing up here, it definitely makes me feel too that you're going to maybe have more courage. Maybe you're feeling a little bit less insecure or feeling a little bit less like on rocky, shaky ground with something, that now is getting resolved in the second week. And then you also have the charm of like a little mini universe. So it also feels like your little universe, your personal life, your personal goals and everything are also not taking up so much space to the point that like it feels overwhelming. So where we had some of that overwhelm before of a billion tasks to finish in the first week, the second week might be a little bit more chill. So overall, those are all of the cards and charms that I have here for you, including blank ones. I'd be so interested to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments, as I mentioned earlier, because you had such an interesting pile. But also do be sure to give this video a like if you found it interesting or helpful in any way. That really makes a big difference. And also, if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe, as I put out new videos every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, these 2-week ahead readings, monthly readings, and others. And I also do some readings and educational videos around charms and tarot. So if you're interested in any of that, do be sure to subscribe. And if you're interested in the offerings that I have all of those down below with my Linktree and my Kindred tip jar as well. But if you're interested in getting a private reading or anything like that, I should be opening these up around mid-June. So do be sure to check all of the information I have down below on my Instagram and Linktree if you're interested in a private reading or any of those Pride earrings for Pride. Otherwise, you can also check out the Kindred tip jar if you'd like to give back or to have anything come back into this. Everything that goes into the Kindred tip jar gets used right back into the channel for different decks and supplies. So that is down below if you're interested. I am losing my voice here though, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for bringing your energy forward, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.